Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. In today's video, you're gonna see me working on this watercolor portrait that I did that I'm currently sketching out. Well, not currently, in the video, with the Prismacolor Color Erase pencil on the Fabriano Artistico paper. And this drawing is based off a sketch that I did in my sketchbook that I quite liked, because I really liked how exaggerated the eyes and the ears and the nose, I guess basically the features were. And for some reason, I've been in a mood to draw and paint these very moody faces with quite exaggerated features. I've been in a very experimental mood in general lately, and my theory as to why that may be is because with the current situation going on right now, it kind of feels like everything's come to a standstill. It kind of feels like time has stopped in a way, which is weird because my life hasn't really changed all that much, as I've mentioned before, because I already work from home and I'm already a homebody. I rarely go outside unless it is to do groceries and just to get some walking in. So in that sense, my life hasn't changed a whole lot, but for some reason it feels really different. Like it feels like the world has kind of come to a halt, and in a way it's given me this weird false sense of security. For some reason in my head gave me permission to just like stop whatever I'm doing, just drop everything that I had planned, like finishing my Skillshare class, which I know I feel horrible about, and I definitely plan on picking that up real soon, but I really just want to get some artwork out before I do that. It's not like anything's changed, so I don't know why, but I feel like somehow there's this permission to kind of put a pause on that as well and just kind of do whatever I just want to do and have fun doing it. So that's kind of where I've been lately. I've been sketching in my sketchbook and doing watercolor portrait studies. And since I've been using colored pencils for a while, I really wanted to give my hand a break and switch to using another medium, just to switch things up and have some fun. Because I always find that once I start using one type of art medium for a while, then I get a little bit kind of tunnel vision-y. And my last video here, where I was taking a watercolor painting and using the polychromos color pencils over top of it, I really struggled with the watercolor portion of that painting, and I really want to start addressing that and get better at doing the watercolor part, because the whole reason why I got the color pencils in the first place is because I wanted to marry the two together and explore this cool mixed media style using watercolor with the color pencils. I like the watercolors because I just really like that quality of watercolor. It has this really cool kind of coming out of the fog kind of look to it if you do it right. I just think using the two to each of their advantages is a really effective way to create work. At least that's kind of what I'm working towards anyway. So my intention with this specific piece was I really wanted to create a sense of atmosphere. I wanted the character's face to kind of emerge from this watercolor mist. But I'm actually not going to be talking about the process aspect of the video. I'll tell you guys right now that I really struggle with this. So instead of talking about the process, I want to focus on talking about something that was kind of on my mind the whole time while I was working on this portrait, which is basically sticking to your vision and not compromising on that vision. Yeah, I don't know why, but that was kind of constantly in a loop in my head while I was working. Just do not compromise. You have something in your mind that you have something that you're aiming for this piece, and you owe it to yourself to try to get it as close to it as possible. I don't know why that was playing in my head as I was working on this piece, but it was in a very kind of defiant stance too, as if I had some external forces telling me that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. But here's what I had envisioned for this piece. I really wanted to exaggerate the features. I wanted, for some reason, the jowls to look very kind of droopy. I've been kind of really into that look lately. I don't know if people have picked up on that. And also like a double chin kind of look. You know, you guys are probably familiar with my typical kind of look, but I've been kind of wanting to push it even more. And I think why I've been in a defiant stance with that is because of the unknown, because of the possibility that someone out there might say, why are you doing that? Like, that looks weird. That looks different from what you've been doing. I really would like to think that I don't care as much about that stuff, but I'd be lying if I said I was completely immune to outside feedback and criticisms. But I think it has a lot to do with that, with sharing artwork online and all the things that may entail with that. Like thinking about what other people are going to think, even if they don't actually say it. Like, it's basically fighting your own kind of dialogue you have with yourself. Like, maybe it comes from having had bits of criticism here and there. That's certainly a part of it. For example, I don't know, I can't even say it's criticism because I honestly, genuinely, I've had criticisms, definitely, trust me, but the biggest criticisms are from me. And so I've really been trying to hone in on what I want to see, what I selfishly want to see, and trying not to have any external influences that are preventing me from achieving that. I think as artists, and especially during these times when we kind of have an obligation to like share our work in order to get our names out there, in order to grow a following, because that has become so important for a lot of us as the thing that like drives our businesses and the thing that drives our careers. But I think because we've become so accustomed to putting our art out there and having other people kind of weigh in on your artwork, I feel like that has created a situation where a lot of us, I suspect, are unfortunately compromising on that vision a little bit. And I may be wrong here because only we know what that vision really looks like, especially if it's something you're still kind of chipping away at and still trying to execute. I just suspect that there are a lot of artists out there, especially young artists, that are easily influenced by people like me and other people that are making a lot of noise out there. And I feel like I'm saying that because there are sometimes when I'm watching a YouTube video of an artist, whenever an artist shares their work on YouTube, there are always these comments where they will say things like, I can't even think of a specific example, but they'll say things like, oh, well, that's great, but can you draw more expressive poses? Or, oh, that's great, but now can you draw a cat? I don't even know. I wish I could think of specific examples, but there's always a comment trying to suggest what that person should be doing. And they may mean it in the best of intentions, but these kinds of comments on other artists' work, it always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, even if they truly mean to be helpful because they care about the artist. I find there's a real danger of really being detrimental to the artist, because there are times when these kinds of comments deliberately go against the intention of the artist. I see these kinds of comments all the time when I am just watching other artists' videos, where someone will always chime in and say something like, oh, what you're doing is great, but can you do this? Can you try this? Because there's this notion that variety is everything. Like an artist should be able to draw everything and be good at everything. If not, they're not a true artist. Maybe that's why. But I see these kinds of comments a lot. And I think comments like that kind of plant a seed in the artist's head where they feel like they have to comply. They have to do the other thing that they're not doing. And yeah, maybe that is fine, but I feel like it's a very slippery slope. I've just been thinking about that a lot lately, and I want everyone to just really try to hone in on what it is that they want to get across and be really critical about that. Really, really think like, am I doing what I'm doing because this is what I think other people are expecting of me? Because that's a really dangerous thing. Like, I feel like I kind of got into that trap a while back when I kind of got into this rhythm of doing these quote unquote like storybook like illustrations. There's another case where there had been some comments that were made on my artwork that influenced me in ways that I didn't realize at the time, but looking back, even though they were not meant in any negative way, like it affected me in a negative way. A lot of people, when they look at my work, a lot of the comments I get are somewhere along the lines of, oh, it looks like a storybook, or it reminds me of children's book illustrations, or oh, you should work for Disney because your work reminds me of Disney. Comments along those lines. Like, trust me, I do not get offended by these kinds of comments. I take them as compliments. I really do. And I understand where they're coming from. But when I used to get comments like, oh, your work looks like it should be in a children's book or whatever, that's not always the intention that I had when I was working on my pieces. Now, there are some of my older illustrations that definitely have that quality, and that was definitely the quality I was going for. But that was not every piece. And so hearing things like that, hearing comments like, oh, you should do children's book illustrations and blah, 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 that kind of made me put myself into a category that I didn't want to be in. It made me feel like I had to now kind of put myself into that pigeonhole. Yeah, I felt like now if I do anything that kind of goes outside of that, then those people are going to be disappointed. And I honestly started, thinking like that. I honestly started thinking like, oh, well, I'm getting a lot of people saying that my work looks very storybook-like and it looks perfect for children's book illustrations. So maybe I should go towards that direction, even though that's not really the intention that I had in my head. And I think last year I kind of really grappled with that. And I think what is so challenging about this is it's not easy, right? Like, art isn't easy. It's not easy for artists to execute their vision to 100%. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I don't think I've ever had it come out to 100%. It's, at best, it's like 60 or 70%. And so what I put out there and what other people see of what I put out there, like, that is not 100% what I intended on doing. So they get to make their judgment based on the stuff that I put out that wasn't fully, it's not fully what I wanted. And I suspect that that's the case with a lot of artists. They put out artwork that is not all 100% what they wanted it to be, but that work to the rest of the world is what defines them. And I think that's something that I really struggle with. Not being able to fully demonstrate what it is that I want to do. And then getting feedback on things that I know could have been better, like, or could have been more, could have been different, or could have been this thing that they have yet to see, like this whole new thing that isn't out there yet. Like, it's so hard to explain. I actually feel quite blessed in that I feel like for the most part, a lot of people kind of get where I'm trying to go, and people get what aesthetic I'm trying to achieve, even though it may not be 100%. I think people get it, and I feel very blessed in that. Like, I haven't had many people saying like, oh, that person looks really creepy, or like, oh, why are their ears so big? I mean, I've definitely had comments saying like, oh, their eyes are too big, or their ears are too big, whatever. But I feel like the vast majority of my fans understand where I'm trying to go, and that's a really great feeling. And I feel less and less like I have to explain what I'm doing. Less and less I have to be apologetic in the way that I present my artwork. And that's a really great feeling, and I really want other artists to also have that, and also have that confidence to stick to their guns and not feel like they have to explain their artwork, not feel like they have to please someone else and alter their vision, alter their artwork in any way to fit the mold that other people have in their heads. Because other people, they only know what is out there. They don't know what's in your head that may be totally new and different. Like, I don't know. I don't know either. Like, I don't know what is in your head that wants to get out there. I am very idealistic, and I want a world where we all just forget about what other people want, and we try to just satisfy our own selfish desires when it comes to our work. Forget about standards that other people have set for, like, there are so many arbitrary like standards and truisms in artwork. Like, you should be able to draw dynamic figures. And sure, I agree that that is a very great skill to have. Who wouldn't love to be able to draw dynamic poses, dynamic action poses? But for an artist that primarily draws just like standalone portraits and just has an absolute great time doing that, getting a comment like, oh, you should try drawing figures more, and you should try drawing this more and that more, like, that can be kind of discouraging, because now the artist thinks that what they're doing isn't enough. For me, I like to draw figures, but a lot of the times I really like just drawing very simple portraits, because I just love focusing on the face. And I think the face is fascinating enough, interesting enough that it can stand on its own. I don't feel the need to put in hands or like draw the whole, I don't know, bust or whatever. But without fail, there's always a comment somewhere along the lines. It may not even have been on like my work, but it may have been on other people's work that like I could kind of relate to. There's always a comment somewhere along the lines of, oh, you should stop avoiding drawing hands because that's what bad artists do. And while they may have meant that in a way to encourage the artist to draw hands more, I feel like as we put our artwork out there and absorb these kinds of feedback, and also observe other people's work being put out there and them getting feedback on their work, and then we kind of internalize it, over time it becomes a part of your internal dialogue, and you start kind of telling yourself those things. And I can definitely say I've probably started to do that, because I feel like I don't get a lot of negative comments, but I have a lot of negative things to say about my work that are sometimes like, where did that come from? Like, why does that even matter? Like, I really have to take a pause and ask, why am I thinking this way? Is it because someone actually told me this, or is it because I've seen it being told to someone else that I kind of, I guess, projected onto myself. So how does this all tie back into vision? Well, when we're working on something, we have all these voices coming in from external and internal sources that may be trying to take us away from that vision, because maybe we think it's going to be not what people expect. Maybe we think it's weird, it's unexpected, it's not what people have seen before. It's ugly and grotesque. Even if you wanted it to be ugly and grotesque, people might not really understand that. People might not understand like the beauty behind that. And it's scary to do something for the first time. But I think we owe it to ourselves to quiet all that noise, to fulfill our visions. I think that's what people want to see from you, even if they can't even like verbalize it because they haven't seen it yet. That's what people want from you. It's for you to be completely yourself, to be completely unapologetic with your work. So circling back to this portrait, I was having a lot of these thoughts in my head. I was thinking, oh, this is gonna look too creepy. People are not gonna get it. This isn't like my usual, more cutesy kind of faces. I really exaggerated her features. It's gonna look weird. People are gonna think she looks like the character from Lord of the Rings, like a gremlin. What is that? I had all these negative thoughts, all these thoughts in my head while I was working on this, but I was like, screw it. And I have a clear idea of what I am after, and I'm going to try to get there. Kept telling myself, you want to do this. Who cares what they're going to think? They're going to like what you give them and you're going to set the trend. Like, you're going to show them how this is supposed to look. You're not going to take the easy way out of this. You're going to follow through on your plans. You're going to tell people how this is supposed to look. They don't know it yet, but they're going to love it. Like really just going through that kind of dialogue in my head over and over again. And I gotta say, like, even though I really struggled with the process of this piece, I didn't waver on my vision at all. And in the end, with the help of using the color pencils, I got it to a point where it's not 100% to my vision, but it's like on its way there. It is on its way there. And that's what's so exciting to me about this piece and about this experience. Like, it's on its way there. And I didn't compromise. I didn't take the easy way out, in the sense that, like, I didn't try to make her look more just like conventional and acceptable of what other people would expect from me. I really stuck to that initial sketch that I had done in my sketchbook. And yeah, I think most importantly, I had a lot of fun. I had so much fun, and upon finishing it, I just wanted to do another one, like, immediately. So yeah, I think what I really want to get across with this video is I want everyone, for their sake and for my sake as an observer and as a viewer, like, I want to see everyone fulfill their vision as artists. Like, I want artwork that comes just purely from their own desires and not affected by outside influences that are steering them away from that vision, whatever that may be. I really want everyone to be totally unapologetic with their work. So yeah, I don't know. That's just something that's been on my mind lately, and I really wanted to share that with you guys today. It was really difficult to try to explain what that is. It's just really hard for me to articulate these kinds of thoughts in any coherent way. I'll probably have to do some magic in order to string these thoughts, these disparate thoughts, into something that actually makes sense in a video format together. Yeah, I'll have to spend a lot of time editing this voiceover, but I hope that made sense. I hope I was able to say something of value in this video for you guys. And I hope you enjoyed seeing how this piece turned out in the end. So I would love to hear what you guys thought of this video and of this artwork. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing more portraits like this. I really had a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to explore this kind of look more and get closer. Really just work towards that vision little by little, you know. I guess I'll tell you guys when I'm there. Yeah, so with that, thank you all so much for watching and listening, and I will see you guys in my next video.